my life. I started.
And building a personal brand business is all.
Okay, let's start
What
with
are people raving about? How can I do more of that?
Our culture, this instant gratification.
I'm going to do this. It's attached to a meeting, so we remember who agreed what.
Three of this framework is to create raving fans.
get asked, am I Hawaiian? Because
Hey there, Shakers, and welcome back to another episode of Worth Your Salt, the podcast that's here to supercharge your marketing in the health and wellness space. I'm Jennifer Orquah, StoryBrand certified coach, and over the past 2 decades, my team and I have tested, iterated, and figured out what it takes to market and grow so you don't have to. Now I'm here to help you apply the marketing systems that truly work. At Salt Marketing, we're all about helping wellness practitioners like you build trust, authority, and a nonstop flow of clients. So if you're ready to take your practice to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Now, med spa owners today are juggling a lot: fast growth, evolving regulations, staffing challenges, and the constant pressure to do things right while still moving forward. Too often, the legal and operational side of the business feels confusing, isolating, or even scary, and that uncertainty can quietly hold great practices back from their full potential. That's why I'm so excited today to welcome Alex Thiersch to the show. Alex is the founder and chairman of the American Med Spa Association and a partner at the nationally recognized healthcare and aesthetics law firm Burt Adato, where he spent years helping med spa owners protect what they've built and grow with confidence. Few people have had a closer view of this industry's challenges or played a bigger role in shaping a safer, stronger future for medical spas. So this is a conversation you do not want to miss. Alex, I am thrilled to welcome you to Worth Your Salt.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. I appreciate the intro. This is exciting.
So for listeners who might be newer to the industry and might not know about you, can you share your story? How did a lawyer with a background in healthcare law become one of the most trusted voices in the med spa space?
Yeah, first of all, one of the most trusted voices in the med spa space. I appreciate you saying that. It's strange. I ask myself.
I trust what you say, so
I appreciate that. It's funny. I've asked myself many times how I ended up here, because oftentimes for anyone who's been who's an entrepreneur or who runs a business, you never end up, I think, where you truly think you're going to end up. You tend to start in one spot, thinking you're going to end up in one spot, and you end up somewhere entirely different. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's you end up where you're supposed to be. And so I am a lawyer. I always thought I would be a partner in a law firm. I was in litigation for the first half of my career, and I was a trial lawyer. I was litigating cases. I was prosecuting civil rights cases, and opened my own firm, and realized very, very quickly that it was very difficult. Obviously, running your own business was tough. I wasn't a born entrepreneur per se. I was more that I knew I couldn't work for anybody else. I had to be my own boss. But one of the first clients I got was a RN who owned a med spa, and this was back 2008 or so. And she kind of exposed me to the industry and what was going on. And it was very, very eye-opening, because I learned very quickly that, number one, this was a fast-growing industry that was making a ton of money, was in high demand. There was incredibly vibrant, creative, and really, really successful people who were creating something from scratch, but also that they needed a lot of help from both a legal and a business perspective, but mostly from a compliance perspective, because they weren't doing things legally or correctly, and they didn't know where to go or who to turn to find out how to do things right. So selfishly, this whole thing started, AmSpa, the American Med Spa Association, started as a marketing play. To be honest, I was really trying to develop resources so I could help med spas, thinking I would represent them as their lawyer, grow my practice that way. And that was how it started.
And so how have you kind of reframed the legal or compliance side of the business as something that actually supports growth and longevity?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, and I think it's in some ways it's changed over the years, but in many ways it hasn't, which is interesting. Some of the things that I talk about even now are the exact same issues that I've been talking about for the last, almost 20 years. And so part of it is just, in order to have a healthy, growing industry, a professional industry, we always say a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So in order to have a professional industry that is going to support everyone. And there's so much demand for the services that we offer. Everyone has enough to eat, but the only thing that can really bring this industry down is our own refusal to be professional and follow the rules. So that's what I always, when I'm speaking, I tell folks there's so many tailwinds that we have, just the demand for these services, the fact that everybody, no matter what, wants to look and feel better and younger. There's not enough providers to provide the amount of services that there's a demand for. So we're in such a good position. But even today, after 30 years of this industry being in place, we're still not following the basic tenets of medical practice that are in place. So things like, you know, the unregulated practice of medicine. If you're an RN, you are an RN, and therefore you have to practice under the supervision of a physician. And one of the things that has been a constant problem in this industry is RNs, who are some of the best, most trained, best qualified injectors in the industry, go off on their own, open their own business, and they start taking on clients without a supervising physician doing the initial consultation, seeing those patients first. They just start seeing patients and doing injections without any of that initial consultation. And that is, by definition, illegal, unlawful, and can cause a lot of problems. And there's still a lot of RNs who don't even know that. So that's kind of a backwards way to know. It's just knowing the basics and having everyone understand, having the public know that these are safe practices, that these are professional practices, that we all have consistent rules to follow. That elevates all of us. And if we're all elevated, we're not going to have the negative stories that are prevalent right now. All the unfortunately, and this is something when I say it's kind of changed, because I think right now our responsibility as an association, as the industry has changed, is that unfortunately right now the narrative that's out there for med spas in the public's eyes and in the media's eyes is highly negative.
For somebody who's heard the name AmSpa but doesn't fully understand what it is, how do you describe AmSpa's mission and its role in the industry, where it's come to today after being around for quite a little while?
Yeah, no, I mean, so we want to help you as a medical aesthetic practice, as well as the industry as a whole, be successful, and that means um, profitable, professional, but also compliant and safe. And so our goal is to make sure that we are all safe, compliant, and successful. We don't necessarily like to talk about profit, but the fact of the matter is that profitable, successful medical practices are often the ones that are more compliant. It's when you start getting behind on your books that you start trying to cut corners. So we want folks to be successful. But so our goal is to elevate the entire industry in the compliance, safety aspect, as well as the business aspect. So that's our goal, is everybody from the biggest brands to the individuals who make up those brands. We want all of them to know what the rules are. We want them to follow the rules. We want them to buy into a larger vision that this is a successful professional industry that will succeed if we all are together and consistent in the way that we view it.
And certainly the media loves, stories of horrors and disasters and all those sorts of things. And so, clearly avoiding that is one of the paramount goals of the people who are doing it right and who are compliant. So,
Yeah.
and you had said that sort of founding AmSpa was more of a marketing play, but you must have seen problems in the industry that made you say, we need an organization around this. I'm sure that motivation was a little bit deeper than I could just gain new clients from that. So talk to me a little bit about that. Why did you come to the thought like this organization needs to exist?
Honestly, it just kind of was this confluence of things. So I think there was a lot of folks who understood that there was a need for this industry to come together and not only it's provide one another with resources, but it's just have a place where they can communicate with one another, and a place where they can meet one another and meet on a level playing field, and that didn't exist. And so,
Yeah.
like the Med Spa show that we have coming up in April, that was another kind of the next natural step. It is not only is it a place where we have resources, but it's also just it's a common meeting area. It's a community where we're saying
Yeah.
that this is not just an association where we want to help you succeed and be safe and compliant, but there's other folks who are just like you, no matter where you are, no matter what type of medical practice you own, from a single provider in a single room bringing in $200,000 a year just getting started to the largest med spas in the country. We're all part of this and we know them. They're part of our network. Most of them are in our association already. And you can interact with them, and everybody is very, very helpful. And so that's kind of, where it all started. It was making sure that there was a place for everyone in this business, in this industry, to come.
Yeah, I love that. And the sense of competitiveness versus community where we can actually come together and build each other up. And
Yeah.
I definitely want to get a little bit more into that. But I'm wondering really, why is this conversation really important right now? Like for med spa owners who want to build something lasting, why is it important for them to pay attention to this, attend the medical spa show, all these sorts of things now?
Yeah, you know what? It's never been more important right now, and I think I've said that before, but people don't realize what is going on and bubbling beneath the surface. And what's happening is, and I guess there's kind of what's happening above the surface and below the surface. And above the surface, we are just not organized as an industry. We have so much collective power. There's 16,000 med spas and over 100,000 employees or people working in this industry, something like 30 to 40,000 providers, if not more. That's an incredibly powerful group that can do a ton of things. However, um, we're not bound together behind a common mission. And I know that because right now, as we speak, there are bills filed in Indiana and Iowa and Florida. There's actions happening in New York and in Texas and in California and Arizona that are anti med spa. And I don't mean like, okay, they just want to shut down
Hmm.
bad actors. I mean, but they're by groups of physicians or groups of like a big pharma that is saying we want medical spas to be governed by the pharmacy board, right? Where the pharmacy board would be the one to actually come in and be fully in charge of the medical spa industry, which makes no sense because they don't know anything about it. Or there are laws being introduced that would prevent anybody other than physicians from being able to do any treatments. So no RNs, no nurse practitioners, no physician assistants. There are additional laws that would require like the amount of training and education you would need to be to own a med spa or own multiple locations. You literally would have to be either a cosmetic derm or a plastic surgeon. And these are happening right now. And so, and it's nerve wracking because I see them. I see the bills. We're fighting them. I've just got done writing a letter right now. We are trying to raise money so we can get in the fight. But a lot of the people that I talk to when I go to various events and when I talk to folks around the country have no idea that this is even an issue right now. And what I see is that all of this could be taken away very, very quickly. And it could be done under the cover of night. But AmSpa is also the place where we really push this information out. We communicate with folks. We allow folks to communicate with us. We have a long way to go in order to make that a more of a reality. That's what I'm spending all my time on now, having kind of stepped back from some of the operational aspects of the business.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that transition that you're going through in just a minute also. We need to take a quick sponsorship break right now. But when we come back, I want to continue this conversation. I want to talk about what's happening behind the scenes in the med spa industry, what the owners need to be paying attention to right now, what's coming next, and of course, why events like the AmSpa Medical Spa Show are so much more than just another conference. You're not going to want to miss this part. Stay with us.
Marketing in medical aesthetics isn't just creative, it's regulated. That's why Salt Marketing proudly partners with AmSpa, the American Med Spa Association. AmSpa is the organization setting the standards for education, ethics, and compliance in our industry. And here's something special for Worth Your Salt listeners. You can save 20% on an AmSpa Plus membership, giving you state-specific answers to over 100 legal questions, delegation guidelines, business and legal training, and member perks for events like the 2026 Medical Spa Show. If you want to grow your practice with confidence, not guesswork, this is a smart move. Go to saltmarketing.co/joinamspa and use code SALTMARKETING20 at checkout. Protect your practice. Grow with confidence.
All right, we're back here on the Worth Your Salt podcast. I'm talking with Alex Thiersch of AmSpa. And so, Alex, from a legal perspective and an operational perspective, what are the top 2 or 3 issues you see tripping up med spa owners today, even successful ones? There are compliance issues I know that trip them up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, compliance issues are one thing. I think there still is, from an operational standpoint, and I'm sure you probably are better positioned to answer this even than me. There still is a real fundamental kind of lack of business understanding, because a lot of these folks are providers who build their business, and it takes them a bit to start focusing on the KPIs they need to follow. And I think even the best businesses tend to be a little bit run on the back of a napkin without truly taking the time to take a step back and work on the business, not for the business. And that's really tough under the best of circumstances. It's doubly tough in this industry because most of the folks who come up are providers. They are the ones who start the business. They are the ones who are the primary service providers, the primary breadwinners. They don't have the time at the beginning to set up the processes and be the business supervisor. They're just trying to survive and build the business as they're providing. So it does become difficult to kind of work backwards once you start getting successful, then to take a step back and start building up kind of the business side, tracking your KPIs, making sure you're structurally correct, have the right contracts in place, have the right ownership structure, have all that stuff. I think that's the main thing. It's like the lack of business acumen for small business is always a problem, I think, but it's really, really evident in this industry. That's kind of the big things. We need everyone to just kind of take a
Yeah.
deep breath and say, all right, let's get this set from the beginning. There's always going to be time to make money and provide your service.
Yeah, and we do see that a lot. That marketing and operations are really the biggest black holes in terms of knowledge, where providers are really skilled at what they do, really good at working with people and all that. But then we get to the operations side of the business, and yeah. So
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier how much you enjoy speaking, and you've spoken at nearly every major aesthetics conference that's out there. What makes the medical spa show, the AmSpa Medical Spa Show, fundamentally different from other industry events?
I think what has always been remarkable to me is, and we've mentioned this before, is there has nevertheless been this incredible sense of support amongst the attendees where I can't describe it. You just have to come and be there. And I promise you, if you come and you will experience it, you will say the same thing. There is an energy and a positivity that is at this meeting that you will not find at any other meeting. There's a support system that is developed amongst all the attendees where everybody is there to celebrate and to elevate the industry and also to help one another. And so you can, no matter where you are in your journey, there's somebody there who is also at that exact same spot in your journey. And there's people who have been in your journey, and they are there to help you. Not only that, every possible piece of equipment and vendor, software, whatever it is that you could possibly need or ever want is there. And those people are also there to help you. And so it's really this, it's 3 days, 3.5 if you go to the pre-show, of just of celebration, support, education, positivity. And I that secret sauce that we have, I don't know exactly how we captured it. But I've been to other events, and I can't really take credit for it because I think it's just it's the industry. This industry is very, very it's very insular, and we want to succeed, and we want others to succeed, and we don't have any of that outside distraction. We don't have others coming in telling us what to do. It's also, the education is by other med spa owners. Like when you get up there and you go to these tracks, you're going to hear from, of course, we always have expert speakers, and we have consultants who are offering expert views, but most of the speakers are people who are in your shoes offering their expert advice on how they've done it. And that's really huge too. But the biggest thing is just this openness to share, and this openness to collaborate. No judgment, no competition. There's nothing against plastic surgeons, but I've been to those meetings and nobody really wants to kind of talk to anybody else. I mean, everyone's guarded. They're kind of there to elevate themselves, not elevate each other. And this is different. It's just everyone's very happy to see one another. It's like a family reunion. And the minute you step on into the Wynn, which is a beautiful hotel, you'll feel welcome, and you'll feel like at home, and you'll just feel a different positive vibe and energy than you'll have felt anywhere else. I promise. And I hope you can all see it, really.
Yeah. Well, and of course, it's coming up here in April. And, beyond those education credits, the vendor booths and those sorts of things, it is that sense of community. It's the conversations that happen in the hallways and the conversations that happen at lunch. And going back to your point earlier about this industry can be very competitive. And so getting to a place where you can connect with others who may have overcome the same struggles that you're going through, or can provide advice, or even just support, reassurance, empathy sometimes, I think that's really, really important. And, it's hard for med spa owners to take themselves away from their business, particularly if they're a solo practitioner, or, it's them and just a couple of other people. So, looking at that, if you could only attend one industry event this year, what is it that they'll walk away from the medical spa show that you might not have someplace else?
Yeah, I totally get it. It is hard. It's like you're thinking, oh, I've got to fly to Vegas. It's a commitment. You got to shut. Oftentimes, folks will bring their entire teams, and you've got to shut down for 3 or 4 days, and that's a big commitment. I think it's the main thing is that number one, you're any level or type of education that you could want is going to be there, from the clinical side, from beginner to advanced, right? So the most advanced, most experienced injectors and providers in the world are there teaching their craft. But we also have one thing that we've always done is we have some of the same courses that we've run for now 9 years, that have been popular from day one, and they've been popular every year, and we've run the exact same course every single year. Like we'll have all-star injectors, or social media all-star panel, and we bring people up, and we have different folks up there, but we put people up there who can talk about their craft and answer questions of the audience. And I think the main thing is this is the only time when you are really going to get a chance to talk with, you know, 2,000 other people who are in your exact same position, and they are all going to be there for the same reason that you are, and they're all going to be willing to share. Yes, there's competition. There's no question that this can be a cutthroat industry, but this is one weekend where it's like everybody puts down their swords and shields and like, all right, let's take a break. We have a big party where we invite everybody and their brother and the industry, and it's all on us, and it's like drink and eat at the club at the Wynn, which is amazing. And it's just, we have a blowout and everyone has a great time, and it's not to be missed. And again, whenever I leave, for me it's different, obviously, but when I talk to folks about it, it's just that it's that energy. There's a different energy there. And to me, if you're going to go to one conference, you want to leave not only getting the education and the CME, all that stuff is important. You want to learn something, you want to take something away. And I promise you, there's never been a time when folks don't learn at least a handful of things they can implement in the practice immediately. But you also want to feel inspired and emboldened. You want to meet people who can help you grow. You want to meet other folks who like, especially vendors who potentially can provide you with positive information and things like that. So it's all right there for you. um Maybe I'm not doing the best job of selling it, because it's like I've been when I'm there, I'm always
Yeah.
just like, it's just it's
Well, let's flip it on its head. Let's flip it on its head for a minute.
yeah,
So for owners or somebody who's listening who feels overwhelmed by regulations, here's the staffing models people are using, rules changing state to state that you alluded to earlier. What's the real risk of trying to figure it out alone?
well, no, I mean, that's a great way to put it. I mean, you can't. First of all, I don't think that's possible. And so one thing that we have is, what AmSpa does. What we're in existence for is to solve that for you. Is to untangle a lot of that for you. So from a compliance aspect, we want to make sure that we decode all of the regulations in your state so you know exactly what you can and cannot do. Um, but then also provide you with, and this is what the Med Spa show does, is provides you with folks who can answer those questions for you and provide solutions for you, right? So staffing models is a great thing. I mean, it's number one, it's very difficult to understand and to solve for. There's also not one answer. And so you have to make sure that you do your homework, and you have to meet multiple people, and you have to take your time and be patient. um, what better way to see five different models and talk to five different people than you can do it all in 1 or 2 days, right? We always have a whole day or day and a half that is dedicated just to the legal and compliance side. The other thing we've done this year is we're including cost of, it's tough because we have like 12 tracks. Nobody can see all of the tracks at once. But we're recording all of them, and if you buy your ticket, you get a copy of the online video, so you can watch it afterwards. So you'll be able to see everything that you miss, and you can bring it back to your team, and they can watch it as well, which is something we've not done in the past. We had it purchased extra, so we're excited about that. So there's just a ton of information, but you're absolutely right, and I think to your point, it's impossible to do this on your own. You have to find the right people. You have to find people that you trust, and you have to find folks who are going to advocate for you and be your champion. And that takes time, and you have to meet people, and you have to talk with people, and you have to have folks who are in your boat, in your same position. And you can't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone and talk to folks, extend yourself. And what I love about conferences in general, and certainly the Med Spa show is the perfect place for this, is that it almost forces you to do that, because you're forced into places where you're sitting next to somebody, and next thing you know, you're talking to them, and you make friends, and you build your network, and that's what it's great for.
Yeah, I love that. Time to get out of your comfort zone, right?
That's
All
right.
right, it's time for another quick break. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to Worth Your Salt, and today I'm joined by Alex Thiersch, founder and chairman of the American Med Spa Association and partner at the healthcare and anesthetics law firm Bird Adato. Alex is helping med spa owners navigate the legal, operational, and regulatory complexities of the industry so that they can grow safely, confidently, and sustainably. If something you hear today hits close to home or sparks a new way of thinking about your business, we'd love to hear from you. So connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and let us know what resonated. We're back here. And Alex, before the break, you were sharing why understanding the legal side of running a med spa and the compliance side isn't about fear or limitation. It's really about that professionalism, the community, building something that lasts. So that now that we've kind of laid that foundation, I want to shift into what's happening in the industry right now, like what med spa owners need to be paying attention to, and why the Medical Spa Show is such a powerful opportunity to learn and connect and stay ahead of what's coming next. So I know you've recently transitioned from CEO to chairman of AmSpa.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about what prompted that shift, and what does this next chapter allow you to focus on?
Yeah. Oh, it's a good question. It's probably been a long time coming. And I've been, like I said, I don't really see myself as, I'm not really a business leader. I've never been a great operator. I'm much more of a visionary and a dreamer. And I like to have big ideas. And so AmSpa has always been an idea, and one idea after another, one kind of dream after another. And it's worked because the industry has been growing so quickly. But I've always known that at some point, for us to scale in the manner that we need to scale, right? And that means conquering the industry in the United States, 15, 16,000 med spas and growing in the amount that we have. Um, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that. More importantly, I needed somebody with some real expertise on how to scale something to that size. More importantly, what I saw happening was I was spending so much time trying to kind of navigate the operational side, tightening the nuts and bolts, keeping the airplane on the flight plan, and repairing the plane as while we're in the air. That all these things that were happening that I've already talked about, the legislation, the lack of a unified voice, the fact that we don't have a seat at the table, the fact that we're not really pushing our own narrative, and there's these counter narratives that are negative, this negative PR that's out there. Uh, we're not countering that, and I haven't been able to do what I did in the past, which is really rally people together and build that coalition. And that's what I like to do anyway. And so this was a chance to bring somebody on who, Adam Reinenbach is his name. He's phenomenal. I've been so grateful to have him. And he's taken over the operational and growth side and has already made a tremendous difference. It's given me more of a chance to look big picture and, okay, what do we need as an association? What does the industry need? And that means looking at things from a broader lens, but then also being able to connect with people, um, talk to folks on a little more pointed level, and say, look, we need to do this, and we need to do this. Put pen to paper a little bit more, and actually put some of these things into action, which I haven't been able to do. So that I'm super grateful for that. I'm very excited for what's to come this year too, because there is a ton of opportunity. Even though I get nervous about some of the things that are happening, I also know I've seen what this industry can do when it's motivated and it comes together, and I know that we'll do that, because there's so many smart, motivated, professional people in this industry, and all we need is just to kind of come together, and we're already doing that. So I'm super excited to see where this leads, and this just gives me a much bigger, broader opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I love that. And so aside from your role, like what excites you most about, having Adam on board? What excites you about where the organization is headed?
Well, so I mean, we were, it's interesting because, like, any bit, I mean, this is AmSpa's been around for going on 15 years, which is a long time for a business. Like, you don't realize that, but most businesses don't make it 10 years. And so it's been a viable business for a long time, and we've had tremendous growth. And then you kind of level off a little bit. And I think what's happened is we were so busy growing the business that in some ways, um, we stopped kind of looking at what allowed us to grow the business at first, right? And this is not uncommon. I've spent a lot of time looking at how, the growth cycle of businesses, and there really is there's stages to how businesses grow, and oftentimes you see like the hockey stick at the beginning where you grow, um, but then at some point it becomes, how do you get to that next level, because you're focused so much on maintaining where you are. And I think what we haven't really done a great job of is, all right, what do we need to do to provide the resources that the industry needs now, and while at the same time reaching the folks that are coming in so that they understand what we do. You asked me earlier, what does AmSpa do and why does the industry need us? We haven't done necessarily a great job recently over the last couple of years of explaining that. Part of that's because the medical spa show has become this behemoth, and a quarter of the year of our time or more is spent just on that, and it's kind of taken over. And so, and that's taken away from, all right, there are so many other important things like advocacy, community, representing the industry, creating that common voice, doing PR on behalf of the industry, research and data, right? Like all of these things that the industry needs, creating and implementing some consistent standards that the industry can actually live by and adopt. These are things that we were doing earlier, and they kind of like, just by the virtue of this fast growth, they kind of got put to the side just because we were trying to keep the car on the road, right?
Yeah, for sure. And let's walk down that path a little bit. So we talked about sort of your role, and then we talked about the organization. So let's talk about a med spa owner who's listening right now and who might feel a little isolated or unsure that they're doing things right. How can membership in AmSpa, much less going to the show, kind of change that experience of ownership for them? How can that joining AmSpa make a difference?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing is um, knowing and being connected to people who are in your same position, right? And that's the main thing. Um, there are, and I think this always surprises folks when they join AmSpa and when they come to Medical Spa Show, but when they join AmSpa, when they kind of get connected to our, whether it's our various Facebook groups or our chat lounges that we have, there are so many people in this industry and in our membership that are just like you, including in your state, in your city, that are in your down the block, that are, yes, they're your competitor, but they're also very, very nice people, and they want you to succeed. And I think there's a lot of support there, and it's difficult to find. And so I think that's the main thing, is that yes, always the resources are important. What is there to, like, we have hundreds and hundreds of hours of clinical training videos from some of the best injectors in the world, right? That you can have access to just watch, right? So you want to get training. Um, Hundreds of hours of business and compliance training, plus all the forms and toolkits you could ever want. That's all there, will always be there. We're constantly updating it. So the resources are there to run your practice and to build your practice. But it's also the community. And I think that's the main thing. Being plugged into what's happening, to what's next, to what people are doing, what they should be focused on, what they should be worried about, what the solutions are. Um, that's the main thing. And then obviously the resources are super important as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. So, based on all of your experience and everything that you've seen come to pass for med spa owners, what's kind of one action that you'd love to see every med spa owner who's listening take in the next 30 days that would help them sort of protect and strengthen their business? So, like if they're looking at all of this and they're like overwhelmed by the number of things that they might want or need to do, what might be something that would really make a difference that they could do, in a 30-day window that would really protect and strengthen their business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I would love to say, just, chime in, like, honestly, just pay attention, which is, and I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be rude when I say that. It's just, there are things that are going on right now, and um, the only way to know is to get plugged in. So it's whatever your community is, wherever you're looking to. We would love for you to plug into AmSpa, even if it's through our Instagram page, whatever injector group that you have that you're connected to, um, and then that group needs to be plugged into either AmSpa or one of the other groups that are out there that are tracking things, because um, our entire industry is kind of in an existential battle right now, and nobody really knows about it. And we we need to come together, and we need to fight for ourselves, because I'm not exaggerating when we say some of these laws could alter the way that your business runs, and is affect its very existence. Meaning, if you're an RN who owns a business properly and has the correct structure and the correct supervision. If somebody passes a rule that limits your ability to be an injector, or limits the ability of your medical director to employ more than one or two injectors, which are laws that are being proposed right now, that is really, really detrimental to your business. It kills your ability to expand. It kills your ability to operate. And so this stuff is happening. And so I really want people to be engaged, and that's the main thing, which is maybe kind of a cop out, because there's so many things you could do, but it's
No,
that's
I think that's great.
the main
Yeah,
thing.
I would say everybody needs to kind of poke their heads up from where they are, get involved, not just in your business, but also in the industry. So you heard it
Yeah.
here, folks. That's the number one thing you need to do. Alex, I know everyone listening is wondering how to get in touch with you. Where can we find you, connect with you, learn more about AmSpa?
Yeah, no, it's AmericanMedSpa.org is our website. It's the best way. We have an Instagram page with it. I always mess this up because it's American Med Spa _ AmericanMedSpa.org. I think I will get that to you so we have it exactly right.
That's fine. Yeah.
I think it's AmSpa _ American Med Spa. But we have a ton of our information comes up on our Instagram, but our website's the best way. We have a way to sign up for our mailing list, and we send out all of this information through emails. That's the best way to find us. medicalspashow.com also, if you want to learn more about the Medical Spa Show.
And of course, if you want to learn more about Alex joining AmSpa or attending the Medical Spa Show coming up here in April, we will link everything up in the show notes at saltmarketing.co. But Alex, now it's time for our lightning round questions. These are a few quick questions that I like to ask of every guest. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. First question is, what's something about you that often surprises people?
That I'm an introvert.
You do not strike me as an introvert in the least, but I know how that is for sure.
Absolutely an introvert. If I had my way, I would be a hermit in my house, and I wouldn't see anybody. It's the truth. My wife has to drag me out.
We would not think less of you. That's a good thing. All right. So, what is your favorite thing about the work that you do?
I like to help. I really like to help people. I like to see the impact that it has. Seeing other people succeed is great, and the fact that I get to have a hand in that is awesome.
Brilliant. All right. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
There are no mistakes, only lessons. Never. There's no mistakes. I think that's the biggest thing. Or no regrets, only lessons. Either one, right? You either succeed or you learn.
Yep, I love that. I tell my kids that all the time. We don't lose, we learn. So, all right, last question. Who's inspiring you right now? What podcast are you listening to, or what's the best book that you've read recently?
Right now, the book so I read a lot of nonfiction books, and I read a lot of business books. The book that I was reading recently was on the EOS system, the EOS business building system, which we didn't really implement. We've implemented parts of it, but I like that. But then I've kind of gone off on a tangent now, and now I'm reading Mindhunter, which is the book about the FBI's criminal profiling unit, which I have gotten very, very into, which is kind of strange and creepy, but also very interesting. And that's kind of where I've gone off. So now I'm reading all about serial killers. So don't hold that against me.
You never know where inspiration comes, right? Alex, thank you so much for joining me today on With Your. Thank you so much for joining me today on With Your Salt. It's been a really great conversation.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I also want to thank you, Salt Nation. If today's conversation has you thinking I'm ready to take my marketing to the next level, that's exactly what we're here for at Salt Marketing. Our Salted Edge system is designed to help wellness practitioners like you attract new clients, convert them into loyal fans, and finally get the marketing that works without the guesswork. Also, if you have a great success story, I'd love to talk with you and share your story. So tell us about why you're worth your salt by emailing us at grow@saltmarketing.co. Of course, be sure to subscribe to Worth Your Salt so you never miss an episode. Finally, leave us a review or give the show a handful of stars wherever you get your content. That's all for this episode of Worth Your Salt. Be sure to join me again next time. In the meantime, let's get out there and shake things up.